What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Monday. Flying solo for the next couple days because Sheets is out. Rhodey's also out. So it's me and Goldie holding down the fort right now, boys. Hopefully we can get this week off to a nice start and continue. It's been a nice little run in May, but a rough weekend for me. So ready to get back after it tonight. It's not the most fun slate in the world. It is hard to get off of some of the chalk for me hitting wise. I'm very comfortable with taking some different pitching options. Playing two big lineups on DraftKings. My pitchers in those lineups are Gilbert, because I'm having trouble getting off some of the chalk. Gilbert Mikolas in one, Cease Brown in the other, and I'm using Zach Gallen on FanDuel exclusively. And I have still 40% Gallen on DraftKings. I just don't happen to have him in my biggest buy-ins. I do love Gallen for what it's worth. But I also really like Cease, Brown, and Gilbert, and I think Mikolas is too cheap and is due for one of the old Mikolas 8-inning, 6 strikeout games. Hopefully gets the win and puts up 25, and maybe that's the highest scoring number on the slate. If you wanted to get really weird, even though I am stacking the Yankees quite a bit, I do think you could. You also want to include guys like DeScalfani into the mix, and I would include a little bit of JP Sears. I think that he's an interesting way to get totally different. Maybe play a Mikolas and Sears lineup at like no combined ownership. And I think it's an interesting route in terms of building if you wanted to get different. The high-priced pitchers, there is some serious talent. Both Gilbert Gallen and Cease, I think, have the highest upsides. But we've seen DeScalfani be pretty good as well. And I just like the idea. I'm just on the Hunter Brown thing because I believe in the talent. The kid has so far already made me a bunch of money, even though just 2 good starts. But like when you're getting 5% ownership or less on him, he's just too talented for that. So I'm just going to probably continue to ride the overweight Hunter Brown situation. Right now on DraftKings, I have 50% Gilbert, 30% Mikolas, 30% Cease, 20% Brown, 20% Cortez, which is being lowered and lowered by the minute just because of the ownership. 20% DeScalfani. That's made most of my pitching pool. I will probably throw a JP Sears lineup in, somewhat of a hedge, all that stuff. As far as stacks go, my main stacks are the Yankees, Arizona, and San Francisco. I'm doing a lot of 4-4-4s and 4-3-1s. One way to get different a little bit, I think the White Sox are getting a little too low owned now. I don't know about the full stack for me because I have trouble against Greinke because he doesn't walk people. But I do think that you could certainly consider the White Sox. And I'm sorry, and the teams I have to get more to some of the bets on, not necessarily full stacks, are the White Sox, Dodgers, Milwaukee, and Houston to get away from some of the chalk. So that's what I'm doing. Good to see you back, Banks. The Ant-Man's back. Good to see you, man. What's up, Carr? Good to see you, my Carr, in there as well. Guys, say what's up when you get in the chat. Please click the like button, and please let us know what you're doing and if you have any questions, because it's a pretty small slate. Not a whole lot extra for me to go through outside of giving my individual ownership percentages of the hitters. Just did it with the pitching. I have way too much Joey Bart tonight. Like literally, I've got him like in 50% of my lineups on DraftKings. Now, there's no way I'm probably going to end up with that. I'll move some of them over to Tice for the Angels where I'm not playing Hunter Brown. I'll move some of it over to Maldonado and Houston stacks. I'll move some of it to Yasmani Grandal, who I already have 15% of, but I would like to get it a little bit more. And I'm well over. I got 24% of Trevino right now, 30% of Trevino. So mostly it's Bart and Trevino as my catchers right now, but I am going to spread out a little bit more than I am at the moment. Christian Walker, Anthony Rizzo, Vinny Pasquantino, and Freddie Freeman, along with Ohtani, are my main first basemen. Basically in that order, except for I have Rizzo more than I have Walker. Ketel Marte, I have Gleyber Torres, the highest owned second baseman. Ketel Marte, DeBon in Houston stacks. Estrada and Torres are my 2 favorites, but I do have Estrada at short in some lineups as well. LeMahieu, Rivera, Longoria, and JD Davis are my main third basemen, with some Max Muncy and Eugenio Suarez. Anthony Volpe and again, Estrada, I'm using a lot of short and a lot of Jeremy Pena for me tonight, along with Mookie Betts. The outfield, I've got 20% of Ohtani. I'm probably going to use the most of that at first, but I do have them in the outfield once. Jock Peterson, Michael Conforto, help me out, Mitch Haniger, Andrew Benintendi, Luis Robert, Kyle Tucker, Jordan Alvarez as my main outfielders tonight. I did just notice that I accidentally have Conforto in a lineup where I wanted to have someone else. So I'm going to make that adjustment while I'm doing this because I do not want quite as much as I have of them. I would like to get Haniger in there a little bit more. And we'll do this, and we'll keep moving. All right, so pop in questions and thoughts before I move over to NBA, and I'm happy to answer anything. Let's see if I do this. That looks pretty good, but that doesn't work for this. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out a little bit later. All right, what's up, Nick? Sabres loving the Dodgers. Are they? They've got the Dodgers projected to score 4.6 runs, which would put them in a tie for 6th on the slate. I don't see Saberson loving the Dodgers. I don't know if that's accurate. I do think getting to some Dodgers makes some sense to me, but I certainly don't see Saberson liking them particularly. I'm looking at them, but I don't really know what that means that they like them. Nobody's got a crazy projection of any kind. Good to see you, Rich. Good to see you, Nick. I will talk a little NBA as I get over there. And in the meantime, feel free to ask MLB questions. But I am going to talk a little NBA. I'm still waiting on lineups really till I make my final MLB decisions anyway, because there's so many of the guys I'm playing haven't released their lineups yet. All right. So my builds for NBA, my thinking tonight is that I first of all, I like the Knicks I think this is going to be a close game with the Knicks in Miami. I think Quentin Grimes is certainly viable with the doubtful quickly as a value play. I'm not getting to the other Knicks that much, not getting much Randall, not getting much Brunson, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. I do think that Isaiah Hartenstein is an interesting play here. Actually, I'm going to make a little note to that to maybe use him for a little bit of value, because I have some other guys that I don't feel quite as strong about. I definitely feel like he'll get enough run to where he could get there. He or Obi Toppin, I do think that's an interesting, decision point, but I don't think anybody's playing Obi Toppin. I do think that it's interesting that they had him on the court towards the end of the last game, trying to come back. And I just think it's a little bit fluid with what's happening with the Knicks. So I'm trying to figure out who it's going to be. They don't seem to have figured out their rotation in a way that they like for the series yet. And if it's going to be Toppin at the end of games, you're going to see those minutes spike from 13 to 25. That makes him more playable. But as of right now, I am going to be using Quentin Grimes as a value piece. It's not the most fun thing in the world, but I'm not trying to get overly invested in the Miami-New York game. I really like Jimmy Butler. Shocker. I think Jimmy Butler's a terrific play at 9,500. The issue I'm having is I'm calling it right now. I think this is going to be the Steph game. Steph's going to go nuts tonight is my take. I think the Warriors are going to play with put your best foot forward, leave these guys out there. I think Steph's going to go crazy. So trying to get, and I'm going to play AD because I think that game stays close enough of the time. So I want to play Butler, Curry, and Davis. I was able to get them all three in one lineup. I don't love it. But I'm just having a hard time getting Butler in my main build because I'm really taking the angle. This is going to be the Steph night. I really feel good about that actually. And I just don't feel great about the fading Jimmy Butler. Kevin Love, I have Struss as a little bit of a better play than Caleb Martin, just because the 3-point shooting, he's been on the court at the end of the game. If they're down or if it's close, there's just a lot of routes where he can get there. I do like Caleb Martin, so I think you play one of those two guys or Kevin Love or two of those three. That's what I'm doing. I am not getting heavily invested in the other pieces for Miami tonight. I'm going to be focusing much more on the Golden State LA game. All right. On the Golden State side, I love Draymond. I don't care that Poole is going to be a million% owned. I'm going to play him. I think he'll break out of it. I like the Curry, Poole, Draymond combo tonight quite a bit for Golden State. And then I'm certainly not going to fault anybody for playing Wiggins or Clay, but I just didn't get them in as many of my builds. And I think DiVincenzo is a good value piece. I also think the projection on Kevon Looney, which is a really hard one to project, because remember, there's 2 blowouts and he had the illness, so he didn't start the one game. I am going to play Kevon Looney tonight. If he's really going to be sub 10%, this is a guy who, if he's out, and like I said, the Warriors down 2-1, I think they're going to put their best foot forward. You got a guy who can get 45 for you at 5,400 and no one's going to play him. I will be the guy playing him. I'll put it that way. I like the Looney Davis pairing at center and then using my utility on either one of them. Love Davis tonight, my favorite Laker for the spend-ups. And I also think that the Lonnie Walker thing feels very fluid and like it may not be him this time. I think an interesting thing, you could take Rui Hachimura at lower ownership. But the guys I'm going to focus on are, again, the two who they're going to have out there to guard Steph, assuming this game isn't a blowout, which the last two have been. I think you're going to see nice games out of Dennis Schroeder and Jared Vanderbilt. So those are the Lakers that I'm rolling with alongside of Davis tonight for the most part. Don't be surprised. If there was a game where LeBron was really going to do his thing, this also feels like the time where you can kind of, step on their throat type of thing. I just don't know how much he has left in him. He's had some moments where he's looked a little bit better over the last couple games, but I just can't side with him over AD and that ceiling of AD. AD is the reason the Lakers are where they are in this position, and it's just really hard not to pay for a guy who I think is going to be right in the 60 range most of the time here, and also has like 75 to 80 fantasy point upside. So that's what I'm doing for basketball tonight. DK Hunter Brown. I like Hunter Brown, and he's going to be extremely low owned. I can't say that he's going to be better most of the time than all the other pitchers he's up in the same range against, but he gets to face a team he's never faced before. He's got enough stuff. It's just the question is if he can keep that control down. If I'm playing a single entry, I don't think I would necessarily play Hunter Brown in a single entry, but I do like him as one of my pitchers. He's my fifth highest owned pitcher, but I do have him in one of my two biggest buy-ins. So I am playing DeScalfani some, but he's not in any of my biggest buy-ins. He's in one of my 250s, I guess. So that's where I'm at. I'm surprised Nick doesn't have any NBA questions or thoughts. Nick, come on, drop them in here, buddy. This is the time to do it. I'm going to play out the rest of this as long as we have two games on the same nights in NBA. I'm basically going to be there, and I'll play the showdowns too. But I really, it's going to slow down. DFS slows down, and we've got, fortunately, we got the Players Championship coming up for golf. And I actually won a 4,400 seat the other night when I was playing on Friday. So that was nice. But we're going to slow down at some point. So I'm sort of just trying to get every bit of basketball left that I can. Because I do think there's some edge in these two game slates. I've obviously done very well throughout the postseason, even though it'll be like 4 no cashing nights in a row and then top 3 in the big one. And it's like, that's been the consistency since the playoffs started so far, since this year. Solid early builds. I have some KC versus C's. Is that leverage? No, I think that the KC thing, like C's has a wide range of outcomes as a pitcher. He's a guy who can start missing, and he can start missing over the plate and gives up some home runs. So that's why I like him. It's also 82 degrees there. There is 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from center, but I still like the idea of getting where I'm not playing C's to getting to a Pascantino here and there. You have the really cheap option with the Nick Prado or something like that. I just think there's enough, I didn't stack KC though. I just had 2 mans, I think, from KC. Maybe I had a 1-3 man, but yeah, it's a little bit for leverage, and it's a little bit because there's not a whole lot to love in terms of the chalk on this slate. So trying to get a little bit different in some places you can while hedging is something I like to do. So that's what I'm going to do a little bit of. Do I like any other Miami pieces? I mentioned, I think that they have 8 guys and they're all completely viable. I am playing Caleb Martin. I'm playing the spend downs, and I have one Jimmy Butler lineup where I've got all of them, one big Jimmy Butler lineup. But I'm trying not to play as much of that game. To be honest with you, I'm trying to stack up more of the Lakers and Golden State. I love it, Kobe. I love when you're here, man. Let's see. Like Curry tonight as well. It is a lot of fun, right? Like there is a lot of there is some weird edges and stuff that you can sort of find out. There's a lot of perception that drives these the projections. Like Looney's a great example where, okay, like Looney has been projecting around like 30 plus fantasy points. We've been playing him at like 6,500 because he's been doing that like all the time. Because of the way this series is going, and because of the double blowout combined with the fact that he also had the food poisoning or whatever the illness was, all those things have made him maybe look like a worse play than he is. So I like the idea of Looney as trying to get different for that exact reason. You want to try and take advantage of perception versus reality. It worked out really well for me. That's what I almost won the first game of the Lakers Golden State series, because I played the Vanderbilt and Schroeder together, who were both like 12%, but nobody was playing those two guys together. And I just said, well, they're going to have to take all the Steph minutes, and then if they're playing well, they're going to stay out there longer. that's the way that I'm sort of trying to treat this with Looney. I think that there's an excellent chance that Looney ends up playing there is a chance that he plays 20 minutes. There's a chance he plays 34. I really think it's a wide range of outcomes. So I don't buy the minutes production. I don't necessarily buy the production number. Don't forget he had his career high rebounding literally 3 games ago. So it's not like we won't see it. Actually, 2 games ago. It was the first game of the series. And let's go tonight. For what it's worth, I did say who I like in the games. I like the Knicks, at least to cover. I think that they're going to fight tonight. And I like Golden State to win that game against the Lakers, even though, of course, I'm a Laker fan, always rooting for the Lakers. Got a lot of shit with my friends watching the game the other night. Went out with all of them because I'm just not as loving the Laker team. I do like the team. I'm rooting for them. They're my team. But I don't remember ever being less excited about a Laker championship run. Not that it's happened yet, but a Laker potential championship run than I have been about this one. Still really hope it happens. Just not as pumped. I don't know why. I guess I do know why, but it's just I also find it very hard to believe that they're going to stay healthy forever. If you want to bet against those the LeBron AD type of things, you always have a chance that they come out of the game, especially AD. Just it could happen at any moment. He's already you've seen him in the playoffs. Sometimes he's been on the floor 40 times in the game. Literally, that was somebody showed me something like that. It may have been 36. But how do you end up on the floor 36 times? That's a ridiculous number. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm probably going to get out of here, finish my baseball builds. Hopefully we can get a Giants and Arizona lineup. Maybe it came out while I was on the show. I'm going to take a quick look and see if it's updated and make sure that we don't. I would really like that Arizona, Houston, and San Francisco lineup, please. So can you please send them to me because I've got somewhere I've got to leave for at 4. That's where I'm at anyway. Rich, respectfully, I completely disagree about them not being deep enough. I actually think 3 through 12, while none of those guys are better than the other, they have 12 guys who are really good at basketball, really good, just good basketball players. Lonnie Walker's a good basketball player. He's not a great basketball player. He's a good basketball player. Even guys like Beasley, who hasn't played in the series, is an excellent shooter. Schroeder is just a guy, no matter what team I ever had, I always want that guy coming off the bench for me. He'd always make my top 8 rotations. Vanderbilt's a very, very good basketball player. Rui Hachimura is a good basketball player. They're just good players. Nobody's special. They're all outside of the top 2. Everybody's a good 4th through 6th man or 7th man on a team, but they have 12 of them. So actually they are deep enough. I just don't think that AD and LeBron are going to stay healthy for 4 rounds. It's possible that we saw it in the bubble. Anyway, good luck to everybody tonight. I hope we crush it, and I'll be in Discord if you have any questions. Make sure to tag me.